I'm Ariana Escalante, and here on Billionaires NewsWire, we are cracking the case on the importance of having the right legal team behind you at all times. Today, we have the opportunity of meeting with high-power attorney and really criminal defense powerhouse, Mr. Chris Ford. Chris, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Ariana.
So as an attorney, there are so many options. Why criminal defense?
I guess it suited my personality, and as I got older I rebelled somewhat, and I did ride motorbikes and come into contact with police. I had an interest in the law, and I understood that it was an important factor in society, in keeping order. From my point of view, it was a means by which I thought I could help the disadvantaged people and also understand the workings of society and promote my own views of authority within the community.
I hear you mention the word disadvantaged. I know that miscarriage of justice is a term that's often thrown around in the media. What does that mean to you?
A miscarriage of justice occurs when the system breaks down for one reason or another, and there could be many reasons for that. A police officer might plant evidence, a witness might lie. They often do. And the reality is that if that lie goes uncovered, then an innocent person may go to jail. The consequences of the system breaking down, particularly in the criminal justice system, are severe, and a miscarriage of justice occurs each time the system breaks down.
Now, what I find fascinating is that most people, and correct me if I'm wrong, don't actually have an attorney on call. What's the importance of having a relationship with legal counsel before anything happens or you might get in trouble for something?
Well, it's like having insurance. People don't expect things to go wrong. You hope they won't go wrong, but ultimately they go wrong when you least expect them. So having a counsel or a relationship with a legal advisor before things go wrong means that when things do finally erupt, you have someone there that's competent to advise you, to look after your interests and to make sure that your rights are adhered to.
So when would be the right time for someone to start looking for the right legal counsel?
Now. Tomorrow could be the day that things erupt in your life. Tomorrow could be the day when you walk out of a bar after having one or two drinks and you run somebody over. I've had many clients over the years who are just normal, everyday people, but circumstances take them to places they never wanted to go. And unfortunately, circumstances can be such that you end up in jail. It's important to get the right advice as early as possible.
Do you feel that you have a really great relationship with your clients? I know from what I know about you, you're actually very passionate about your work. This isn't just the office that you come to and crack down on paperwork. You're really, really passionate about your career. I
have different types of people coming to me. Some people deserve passion, some people don't, but my job's not to judge. My position as a defence lawyer is to ensure that my clients' rights are protected and that I ensure that they get a fair trial.
Chris, something I love so much about your work is the compassion that you hold for your clients. I know one of your current cases, and we're seeing so much about this in the media right now, is the Esther Orunga case. I'm sure you've been watching this a little bit. This is an amazingly meaty case where you have political refugees fleeing from Kenya. They're afraid for their lives. They come, and then, unfortunately, their son was actually killed.
Yes.
So I know there's a lot going on. There have to be a lot of emotions on all sides of this case. How do you deal with that, knowing that you're dealing with a human with feelings and emotions, but there's also a lot of facts to be looked at?
It comes down to professionalism, I suppose, and experience. It's not easy. I'm a father myself. This case is particularly tragic because a beautiful young boy, aged 3, died in tragic circumstances. The father was charged with his murder and stands charged of that right now. Esther, my client, the mother, was charged with accessory after the fact to murder. It's an unusual case in as much as Quincy Timberlake has mental health problems. His wife wasn't sure that he was mentally ill. One evening he became chronically ill, psychotic, and he killed the child. That is the allegation. It's yet to be proven, but that is the allegation. And he told police that the child had fallen down the stairs, and it's alleged that she agreed with that, knowing that she that wasn't what occurred. So we're defending her in respect to her charge of accessory after the fact to murder.
Now, I know that legislation can constantly change, whether it's federal or state government. There are constantly new rules that we need to be aware of, and one in particular that's really hot right now in Australia is this one-punch rule. So tell me more about how we can stay aware and things that we need to recognize as our rights.
Well, the one-punch rule came around as a result of a number of assaults that happened, particularly in the King's Cross area, in areas where people are drinking well into the morning. And what happened was, on a couple of occasions, one punch was enough to kill the victim, largely because they get hit in the head, might be a little bit drunk themselves, they fall back and they hit their head on the concrete, and unfortunately they pass away. So in order to prevent that, the government, in my view, created a knee-jerk reaction. And they said basically that there'd be mandatory sentencing in relation to anyone that got drunk and hit somebody. Of course, that doesn't take into account all of the different circumstances in which one can find himself. It's difficult to subscribe one sentence, one heavy sentence, for every set of circumstances. And usually the judge is the one that looks at the case individually, understands all of the reasons behind what happened, and then imposes a sentence according to the seriousness of what occurred. And that discretion is taken away from them by virtue of the new legislation. I don't believe it's an advantage. I don't believe it's a good move in terms of the future, but it satisfies the public outcry.
What's the importance of having your own specific criminal defense lawyer versus having a legal aid lawyer?
Look, don't get me wrong, there's some very good, experienced legal aid lawyers. The problem is that if you're relying on a legal aid lawyer on the day that you're arrested and charged, you could get a very junior lawyer. Your lawyers may change from each time you go to court. There's not necessarily any consistency. Why? Because they have so many clients to look after on any one day. Whereas when we go to court, we look after the one client at the one time. So we spend the time on it. We go through the brief of evidence, we analyse it thoroughly, we don't miss anything. Legal aid lawyers tend to be very busy. They're very dedicated also, and they work very hard. But when critical decisions need to be made, you don't need a junior lawyer making those decisions.
Chris, you're clearly such a gun for hire. You absolutely understand your practice, the legislation, and the changes, most importantly, every year that we're going to be dealing with. So all I know is when or if I needed a criminal defense lawyer, can I come to you?
Absolutely, I'll look after you personally.
Perfect, thank you. Well, let's hope that that doesn't happen. But Chris, thank you so much for your time today. Again, we are with high-powered attorney Mr. Chris Ford here on Billionaires NewsWire. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.